Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Let's continue on doing the stock buy and sell problem series. So continue on the videos for problem 188, 121. Now let's have a look at Leetcode problem 122. So first, let's make a connection of this problem with problem 188. So in this statement, so we can actually do as many transactions as we like. So this actually corresponds to the fact that the maximum allowed number of transactions is positive infinity. In other words, no constraint on the number of transactions. First, let's recall the terminologies or conventions for Leetcode problem 188, and then we're going to adapt the method there to this problem. So in problem 188 and here, we're going to use one indexing for the prices or days. For example, SD is corresponding to index I-1 in the prices. So the DP interpretation and initialization there is the following. So here I indicates the days and K indicates the number of allowed transactions. 0 means at the end of the SD we have stock at hand, and 1 means 0 means we do not have stock at hand, and 1 means we do have stock at hand. So TIK0 means the maximum profit at the end of the SD with at most K transactions or with no stock at hand after taking possible actions like do nothing, sell, or buy. And TIK1 means the maximal profit at the end of the SD with at most K transactions with stock at hand after taking possible actions. So the general DP update rule or recursion relation is given by the two equations here, star and double star. Notice again, so we're going to, here I is in between 1 and n, so with equality and two n's, because we are using one indexing. So here the understanding is the following. So TIK0 means maximum profit at the end of SD with at most K transactions if we do not have stock. So here this actually equals the maximum of the two terms. So the first term actually corresponds that at the end of I-1 day, so we do not have stock. So this part corresponds to the fact that we do nothing at day I. And the second term actually is the following case. So we sell a stock because here at the end of I-1 day, we do have stock at hand. So we can sell the stock to gain some profit. So this is the second item in the equation star. So the understanding for the double star here is that the maximum profit at the end of SD with stock at hand equals the max. The first term actually corresponds to the fact that at the end of I-1 day we do have stock at hand, and at SD we choose to do nothing. And the second item corresponds to the fact that we buy a stock at day I. The reason is that at I-1 at the end of I-1 day, so we do not have stock. So we choose to buy one in order to have a stock. So here, actually, if we start to buy, actually this is the start of a new transaction. So here we allow at most K-1 transactions. So that's the DP update rule or the core logic for this series of problems. So here a transaction is a buy-sell process. And notice that in the second equation, so in the max function, so the index is K-1 because new transaction happens again. So in this problem here, actually based on the problem statement, so we can actually do as many transactions as allowed. So this corresponds to K equals positive infinity. Then if we choose K to be infinity, then K and K-1 are the same. So in the two equations above, if we replace K and K-1 by star, so this relation becomes the two relation here. And in these two relations, actually there are only two running variables involved, that is ti0 and ti1, right? So with that said, we are ready to write the code. So this actually meaning that the problem 122 is a special case of problem 188. So we just need to tweak the code there. So first, I'm going to write a solution using DP table. In other words, I'm going to use tabulation. So first, let's track the length of prices. In other words, the total number of days. And then we do the DP table. So here it has ti0. So let's call it ti0. So let me call ti key 0 just to make a connection with the generic case. So we're going to have 0 times m plus 1. And also we're going to use tik1. So with stock at the end of a day. So we're going to track m plus 1. So this is the one thing. Another thing is that we want to initialize tik1. So because at the very beginning, so no stock. So if we result in stock, so we're going to think that we have bought a very expensive stock out of nothing. So we set this to be negative infinity. So with that said, actually we finished the DP table, DP initialization. So next we're going to do the DP update. So this is actually very routine using the two equations here. So for this, I'm going to use for I, y in enumerate. So notice that I'm using one indexing here, prices, and start from 1. And then what we're going to do is that we first update tik0. So I, it's the max of the previous state, that is tik0 I minus 1. And then the previous state of tik1. So at I minus 1. In this case, we can sell the stock, so to gain some profit y. So this is the one update. Another is for tik1 at day I. So it's the max of the previous state, that is tik1 I minus 1. And then in this case, we can buy a stock, so tik0 I minus 1. And then so we're going to minus this y, right? So this finishes the DP update. So next we just need to return. So we're going to return tik0 at -1. So this is a full format of solution based on the general idea for this series of problem. So now let's look at some check. Yeah, this passes a special case. Now let's look at the generic case. Yeah, it passes all the generic cases. So now let's write another format. So we're going to copy this function signature and change this one to be version v1. And for now, we just need to track the state of these two variables. So this is actually very routine. So here we use reduce some space. So to be reduce space to be 01, I would say. So let's first do some initialization. First, we're going to have this one and this one, right? tik0. If we do not have stock, so here we're going to set it to be 0, and then tik1. So initially we're going to set to be negative infinity. So because we haven't looked at stock yet, but we do have a stock state, so we can think we bought a very expensive stock. And then we're going to do the iteration, which corresponds to DP update. So for this, I'm going to ignore the index, so in this case. So for y in prices, right? Then we're going to update tik0, so which is nothing but its previous state. We can think of as the previous day. And then we're going to use tik1, So in other words, the previous day with stock. So we can sell the stock to gain some profit. So we can add y, right? So then we can update TIQ1, which is the max of its previous state, IQ1. It means that previous day has stock. We choose to rest at the current day. And then we can also choose to buy a stock, that is TIQ0. The previous state, we do not have stock, then we buy a stock. But if we buy stock, we pay some money, that is minus y. So that actually finishes the iteration, which is in parallel with the DP update. So now we're ready to return the final state of TIQ0. So with that said, this actually finishes the second format. So let's do some check. So let's first check. Yeah, it passes a special case. Now let's look at the generic case. Yeah, it passes all the generic cases. So with that said, it's about it for this specific problem. Please follow up on this series of videos. In the next video, we're going to solve problem 123. So for this 123, actually it corresponds to k equals 2. So with that said, I guess that's about it for this video. Thank you.